Now call to mind a place in nature where you like to go and be, a place where you might go and sit on a sunny day. Imagine you're sitting in that place. You can feel the ground beneath you. You can smell the air around you. You can feel the wind around your cheeks. And you can hear noises. Maybe it's birdsong, maybe it's something else. But these are all sounds that tell you that you're in nature. Take a few moments to really arrive in that spot and to ground yourself. And once again, breathe that in that air, the air of the place. Sense your relationship to everything that's around you. The rocks, the trees, the grass, the wind, the animals, the birds. Maybe the antiquity of the place. And as you're held in that sense of relationship and connection with all life that is there in that place, I hand over to Claire for the sound meditation.
Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Bienvenidos a la plenaria de cierre.
Thank you so much, Claire, for the beautiful, beautiful soundings. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for the first of our two closing plenaries. Hopefully, you've all got the translation activated in the way that you want. You click interpretation at the bottom of your screen and choose your language. Or if you're bilingual, you can stay with the main feed. Another thing we'd like you to do is add in front of your name either ES or EN, so that when we go into breakouts, which we're going to do in a little bit, we can pair you with people that speak the language you wish to speak. And if you want to stay in the main room, put a star in front of that, star ES or star EN, or just star, either one. And you can stay here and not be in a breakout if you choose. But we're going to start with some thanks to various people that helped all this to happen. We'll offer some highlights of the summit. The three of us, Isabel, Melina, and myself. We'll connect a little bit in the chat with some appreciations. Then we'll go into those breakouts. Then we have two speakers that we'll be featuring later today, and we'll introduce them in a little bit. We'll talk about what's next. We'll close. We'll bring Claire back for a blessing from nature, a collective sound poem, and then she'll offer some solo voice again, and then some silence, and then we'll move straight into a hangout for another hour after the 90 minutes of this plenary. So I think we're ready to thank some people. Right, Melina?
Solo quiero decir que si hay alguien que solamente habla español, puede escoger interpretación, pueden escoger el canal de español y asegurarse que su nombre tiene una ES al principio para cuando queramos hacer grupos, puedan estar con gente en español. Y bueno, primero quiero agradecer al grupo de interpretación, de traducción, que estuvo con nosotros, a Andrés Gutiérrez, que está hoy con nosotros, a Sofía Villa y a Katia Rico también, y a Erendira Velázquez, quienes interpretaron en varias sesiones de manera voluntaria y que estuvieron muy interesadas, y agradeciéndoles mucho a ellas por haber participado haciendo este trabajo. Ben, you want to keep?
Yeah, I just want to note, Andres, your sound in the English translation is sort of muffled. It's a little bit hard to hear you. So if there's anything you can do to improve that, that would be great. Yeah, besides the three of us who began working on this in the beginning of the year, we had three other people that joined us in the weeks leading up to the summit itself and played key roles in allowing us to present all of this to you and make it accessible. Lauren Minnis did amazing work on the back end with all kinds of data uploading and cutting and pasting and helping people find their way, etc. There's no way we could have managed this without her support. It would have been a much more challenging experience for all of you and for us. Thank you so much, Lauren. Lucas Chaffee of Kiko Chat was constantly supporting us in getting the platform set up, and also Francois Nukel, who's worked with Lucas and helped to set things up and decorate and get the colors right and many other things. And then I also want to appreciate all the people that hosted sessions. We had something like 120 open Zoom calls during this summit. And about more than 60 people were involved in hosting those different sessions. And so without you, none of that, none of this really happens. And then lastly, I want to thank all of you who showed up, because if you're not here to participate, then none of it matters at all. We'd just be hanging out in empty rooms. So thank you all so much.
Muchísimas gracias.
So I think we'll go into the highlights of the summit. Isabel, do you want to lead us off?
Yes, thank you very much, Ben. So I'm not going to talk so much about the contents of the summit, because Melina is going to do that for us, but I'm going to kind of do this dance that one always does when you're doing bioregioning, between data and what it feels like on the ground, and what the actual kind of practice is on the ground, perhaps. So Ben's been giving us some figures as to how many sessions we held, but I also wanted to just let you know that we had a total of 998 people who registered, 39 of the open sessions, the 120 open sessions. 39 people were able to listen in Spanish. One session was an in-person event organized for the summit. 5 were what we called field trips to events convened outside the summit. We had 33 sessions that have been recorded and uploaded so far. 7 more are expected, and Ben will tell us later how to access all that. And as Ben said, we had 62 hosts and speakers. We also had 43 bioregioning opportunities named by the ideation process using the co-digital platform. And we have 764 people and 187 partners on the networking map. So I thought what I'd do is just share my screen so we could look at the map together and get a real sense of extraordinary geographical breadth that we've managed to assemble. So let me just see if I can share. Okay, here we go. So I've tried to make the map as big as it can possibly get, and it could probably be bigger. So we've covered pretty much most of the world, and do go and have a look at it later on. We know there are people in India. Why India is not quite showing up there, I'm not sure. We had a wonderful session with John Thacker and 2 people from India last weekend. But you can see we've got people from Hawaii to New Zealand, from the very tip of South America up to the Arctic, Iceland, and from the equator all the way across to Indonesia and even further east than that. So this is so exciting to us to see that there are so many people geographically spread, that they're all doing bioregioning, and that we're going to keep on connecting with them, we hope, through the ongoing program that's going to emerge from this summit that Ben will say more about later. But I also just wanted to say that, of course, numbers are only part of the story. So at the center of every bioregion, there's an energy field that's been activated by a person or a team in that place. And this creation of an energy field that creates a space of potential that is able to unleash the possibilities in a place and with communities is really what bioregioning is about. And we hoped that through these 2 weeks of the summit, you are able to in some way experience what it's like to be in an energy field of kind of growing potential and possibility, and also to connect up with so many other people, because bioregioning is a relational activity. And we were so delighted to see that so many people came to the Hangouts and to open space. We would have loved more, but the people who did come, I think, really got a sense of the informality and the friendship that was available to everybody. So I'm now going to hand over, I think it's to Melina, to say more about the content of the summit.
Muchísimas gracias, Isabel. Y sí, fue sorprendente. Lo que fue más sorprendente es ese tránsito entre estar hablando de lo mal que está el mundo a la creación de muchas posibilidades, a poner atención a cómo ir hacia adentro o ese movimiento de ir hacia adentro, tanto personalmente como bioregionalmente, se fortaleció profundamente en la mayoría de las sesiones. Hubo muchísima llamada de atención hacia cuál es el rol de la naturaleza y cuál es nuestra naturaleza en relación con nosotros y en relación con los territorios. Cómo escuchar a los territorios, cómo fortalecernos dentro de la diversidad y dentro de la diferencia para justamente desde allí tener una llamada de realidad, ya no viendo la economía como como un cuerpo, sino viendo la economía como un flujo que está dentro de un territorio, donde son los paisajes y las comunidades el cuerpo de esa economía. También se estuvo hablando mucho entre cómo encontrar esos balances entre la sobrevivencia y la evolución y cómo añadir valor y valorar muchas más experiencias vitales, reales, de las conexiones, de los territorios, de la madre tierra, del campo energético. Y a partir de eso también comprender que los territorios nos están llamando a sanar traumas territoriales, que ese proceso de sanación es importante y es posible y que tenemos las herramientas para hacer esto. También se habló algo muy importante y es esta aparición de patrones que más que principios son atractores de bioregionalización. Son puntos de encuentro donde podemos aprender los unos de los otros para enraizarnos en los territorios donde sea que estemos. Y el llamado profundo real fue de bioregionalizarnos, de volvernos una bioregión en cualquier cosa que estemos haciendo. Mirar hacia adentro es el movimiento que se tiene que hacer con más fuerza ahora mismo. Esto es lo que tengo para compartir desde el contenido. Bueno, también hubo muchas otras informaciones, ¿no? Como conocimientos básicos sobre indicadores, sobre experiencias con comunidades, experiencias de intercambios entre bioregiones, experiencias de conversaciones con gobiernos locales, conversaciones entre, digamos, desde la perspectiva del financiamiento y cómo pensamos también el dinero como parte del sistema solamente, no como el que manda las reglas. Y por último, algo muy importante que olvidé mencionar es que de ahora en adelante lo que se trata no es de financiar proyectos, es de financiar un movimiento de regeneración bioregional y de tendernos las manos para que esa financiación realmente se haga posible en esta red de micelio que estamos conectando diferentes bioregiones en el mundo. Ben, te paso la palabra para que nos hables sobre esta intención que tuvimos desde el principio.
Thanks, Melina. And Andres, we lost your English translation a couple of minutes ago, just so you know. Not sure what's happening. Are you hearing the Spanish translation now? Can we just confirm that part is working? Can someone maybe let us know in the chat? Can you just say in the chat if you hear the Spanish? Well, we're just going to get... Maybe it's the energy more than the words that translate. Yeah, I just wanted to say a few words about So we've heard about the participation and who showed up and how many people, things like that, and about the content from Melina and the field. Just wanted to name a bit about the process patterns and the flow. And we had all kinds of ideas for what might happen in the summit. And some of those happen fully and some maybe are still unfolding. And so what we saw happening really fully was the connecting and the learning pieces that when we asked, did people want to engage in this summit, where we approached different organizations and partners, we got this resounding yes, that we needed to talk about, we needed a place to gather to talk about bioregional regeneration. And so I think it was this initial sense of just, wow, there's so many people doing so many things. And we were all kind of bathing in that, as well as lots of individual connections that were happening. And then all of this rich learning from all the different presentations. And that was clearly where the energy was flowing, because as Isabel mentioned, we had this whole other set of things that weren't experts giving presentations and then questions and answers. They were processes for connecting, and for initiating your own conversations, and for networking in deep ways, for sharing offers and requests. And we saw much less energy and interest flowing into them during these 2 weeks. And I think the sense is that first we're settling in and we're getting to know who's there and what's possible. And those other things come as a result, and will follow. So we'll say more about how we'll activate those going forward. And I think that's probably enough. Maybe just to say, ultimately our goal is to catalyze radical collaboration. Right? That was our calling question. What opportunities are emerging for radical collaboration in service to bioregional regeneration? And I think we surface a lot of possibilities for that. And now it's the time going forward for us to manifest it. And I think also a lot of that is happening in ways that we'll never be able to fully track, right? All the different connections and people organizing and following up on things. And we want to hold a container for more of that going forward as well. So I think now we're going to do just a little exercise in the chat. We're going to switch things around then. We said we would do the small group conversations next, and then the speakers, but we've heard from Tsitsi, one of our first speaker, that she's going to have to leave in 25 minutes or so. So we'll do the speakers first and then the small groups. Again, just a reminder that, I'll talk about the co-digital later, John. A reminder, so there'll be a whole what's next section coming at the end. But a reminder to put ES or EN in front of your name to indicate what breakout you want to be in, and a star if you don't want to go into a breakout. And let's just take a minute in the chat and with some music to answer the following question. What is one specific thing related to the summit that you are grateful for? One specific thing related to the summit that you are grateful for. We'll take about 5 minutes for this. Just put those in the chat and take a look at what other people are writing.
Taraya sambahara taraya khmbadara hayo Radaya sambahara tardohum tutarhaye Cherandeya Cherandeya Aunde chende
Thank you all for those beautiful thoughts. Maybe capture them and put them on a mural board or something so we can reflect more. And now we're going to go to our speakers. So I think Melina, we're going to start with you to introduce Tsitsi. Why are you shaking your head?
Where is it? Yes, we have Tsitsi Maratse today with us. Tsitsi is a Zimbabwean leader working with women in communities, and she has had this amazing journey on bringing her knowledge and her being into connecting local communities through leadership of women and working with in very difficult situations. I know that. And she has been working also internationally and bringing knowledge and a sensation of the Ubuntu from her own community to all the places and processes of transformation systems. I met Tsitsi working with the evaluation of transformation systems maybe 2 years ago, and she's really wise in bringing the measurement of qualities and the sensation of how to bring these qualities.
Trabajando con los sistemas de transformación.
So welcome, Tsitsi. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Melina. My name is Tsitsi Maratse. I'm calling in from Zimbabwe. I am a Bantu originally. I come from the Shona tribe, which is the dominant tribe in Zimbabwe. And within that, I am of the Zulu lineage. And we are traditionally agriculturalists. So I relate very well with issues of social transformation in systems. Being a person that also grew up in the village, thriving on indigenous knowledge systems to get production going, to preserve our produce, and to feed our families. So I'm coming in with profound greetings from this part of the world, which part I really love. And I really want to appreciate everyone that has made time to participate in this conference. I've had the opportunity to participate in some, but not all of the conversations, even if I would have wanted to. And in that process, I've been learning a lot. So thank you so much to Ben, Elizabeth, Melina, for putting this conference package together. I just don't know how you managed it. More than 900 people all over the world. That's definitely a fit. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of it, allowing me to share what we believe in as the Shona people of Zimbabwe. And we believe in Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because you are. And we express that even in our own greetings. So if you are happy, I'm also happy. If you are not so happy, I'm also not happy. And therefore, we thrive on these relationships. And therefore, for me, I've come into this space with expectation. And my cup is half full. I have learned, I have connected. I am very excited. Because for the longest time, even when Melina and I were involved in this evaluation process, we were looking at transformation systems. We actually acknowledge that the South is actually left out of some of these very prominent and life-changing experiences. We are isolated. We are not, our voice doesn't usually come through. And at times, it doesn't even count. It doesn't even make a difference. I've been very elated to listen to some of the presentations where I really, really connected with the principles, with the values that speak to me very fundamentally, including my values of Ubuntu. And I was quite particularly excited by the regeneration.com material and information, which for me resonate very well with my work as an international consultant, because I am trying maybe to also plant a seed about humanity, about the need to just appreciate each other as people, as a people. And what that means for me, it goes back to Alan Savory's work around holistic management, and is one of people that I really hold in high esteem, because he really also speaks to a lot of these values, but of course in that context of grasslands and range management and so forth. But the point of it is that we are brought into this space by Mother Nature, who has given us a lot of resources. But if we really look at how, for example, in the development sector I am working, how those resources are actually either accessed or used, there's too much power. Power at play, power that denigrates others, power that just displaces others and makes others puppets. And I'm trying also to make a contribution in my personal space and also through my work to just perhaps begin to challenge that. And I found that challenge very present throughout this conference. And thank you so much. Because then I began to realize that I'm not a lonely voice. It's not just 2 or 3 of us from the South, but we actually have people from the North who are also believing in the same values. And I hope that through this conference, we really, really are building a movement around humanity, a movement where we just love each other for who we are, appreciating what Mother Nature has given each and every one of us, celebrating our uniqueness, celebrating our identities, and making sure that we are actually edifying each other without passing judgment, but allowing each other to be just who we are. And in that process and in that space, you have opportunities to co-create new things that really give meaning to our humanity. They give meaning even to the future generations, whom we are also owing a lot. Because if you look at what has been happening, whether we call it climate change discourse or energy or whatever the case might be, or even general development, I believe that the paradigms that we were schooled in, especially coming from the South, need fundamental radical change and shift, because they are truly not developmental. They're actually taking us back. And I don't know how far back and to where, because there are no more forests here. Some people think Africa is a black continent. Maybe by color, because you think that black is whatever. But you know what? We all have the same blood flowing in our veins. And I think that is more important and worth celebrating. So the color that we bring, we need to celebrate that as well. Because we're created like this for a purpose and a reason. And when I was even listening to conversations around resilience, I would actually even take pride in my own country. I'm sure a lot of us have heard how many times Zimbabwe was said to be, you know, it's about to die, it's about to do this and the other. We are still surviving. I love my country, I love my people. And we're going very far. Perhaps this is the time to actually reclaim that and perhaps show the world what resilience actually means. There's a reason and a purpose why we're going through such difficult times and moments. And I know that it's not going to last, because Zimbabweans are the most hardworking people that I know. I'm so proud of us, because you find us in every part of the world. And it's also even very surprising. What are we doing in Iceland when it's so hot here? And we always have to adapt and adjust. And I think that's the beauty of humanity, isn't it? To be flexible, to appreciate the relationships that we actually encounter, and to celebrate life and humanity, to allow ourselves to learn and to soar and fly high to places that our spirits lead us. And I'm really, really looking forward to exploring all those other concepts, the top 3 that we've voted most, I'm still available and very interested and will be engaged. And I look forward to meeting with as many of us and even working with many of us in this trajectory as we begin to shift all these paradigms and debunk a lot of the myths around what is truly developmental. I am particularly passionate about the issue of projects. The projects and development aid, that mechanism doesn't work. In fact, it has killed a lot of our identities and what we stand for as a people and as a nation. And I really would like us as a movement to also demonstrate how we can actually coexist developmentally, according to however each and every one of us defines it. So thank you so much for allowing me this space and this opportunity to also contribute, but also to learn and to make these connections. I'm available, interested, and look forward to more engagements of this nature. Kudos to you again, Ben, and your team. Elizabeth, I look forward to meeting you. Melina, let's take charge of this a bit more. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sichi, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, and so encouraging to hear that. Really, really lovely. So now I'm going to introduce Melina. So Melina has given me a description of herself, a short biography, which does not in any way convey what Melina's really like. So I'm going to read out what she's given me, and then I'm going to say something about how I know Melina. So Melina started her professional path in theoretical and evolutionary biology with a systemic and cognitive view of living systems. With a master's degree in biomimicry, she's been applying nature wisdom to regeneration and evolution at different scales of human systems, from individuals to communities and organizations. She is a biosphere translator. Now, this is an amazing new profession that Melina has invented. She's completely unique, as I say. That means she listened to nature and is able to interpret what nature is telling us through all her knowledge of biomimicry. And she's also a co-author of Biosystemics. She co-leads Colombia Regenerativa and the Regenerative Communities Network. She's professor of biomimicry for social systems at the University of International Cooperation of Costa Rica. So that's one aspect of Melina. But the other aspect of Melina is that she's completely a force of nature. And without Melina, probably Ben and I would not have stayed the course. But it was Melina who was always encouraging us onwards and kind of seeing the potential and getting excited and saying, we've just got to do it. We're going to make it happen. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Melina.
Gracias, Isabel. Y sí, es verdad, me tocó muchas veces decirles por qué estábamos aquí, recordar que
Thank you, Isabel. Yes, and I had to remind us often why we're here, that there is a deep, deep movement of the earth, and that only through listening to what earth is telling us, we are going to be able to overcome these times of transition. And what I want to share today has a lot to do with this moment, with these times that we are living, in which there is a paradigm that has dominated us for a long time, and there is the emergence of a new paradigm. And we are in this point in which these two paradigms are together, because the one that was standing before, the first one is going to fall down, and the one that is transitioning is going to detach from the former one and it's going to rise. And this new paradigm is the paradigm of our intentions, of our bioregional intentions, of our deep anchoring to earth. Bioregionalization means to go back from the heart, go back to connecting deeply with this living being that we are and with this cosmic being that we are, and to understand ourselves from the depth of being who we are. We have been trained, we have grown through a system that makes us deny our essence, a system that forces us or pushes us to learn something and to fit within a society that does not take care of us, that has made us fragment our awareness in ways in which we harm ourselves. And for that reason, we harm the others. And that's why we do not find that connection because we are fragmented inside. And those spaces that many have called shadow work have to do with this lack of harmonization that we live in the planet. And the moment has come for deep integration of those fragments of our awareness in which we can overcome the shame of having being fragmented and the fear of not being able to fit in the tribe. And that union, that integration is what is happening to us individually and spiritually. And that's why the movement is inwards, and inwards means in towards our hearts and our humanity with deep healing. And but that is not being managed by ourselves. That is being managed, driven by the earth. The earth is pushing us inwards because it's through our capacity of connecting with our own selves and with the others and with the territories and with the institutions, with our community, with our global community of regeneration, of learning, with other bioregions. All of those levels of connections are nested. And that's how Earth operates through symbiotic connections. And symbiosis is radical collaboration. Symbiosis is finding the balance between survival and evolution. We are in a moment, in a biological moment, evolutionary moment of humanity, of the planet. When a mass extinction comes to the planet Earth, there is an explosion of diversity that is deep explosion, and it makes us have many, many, many solutions, tools, tools, tools. No, it's this way, that way, that we must do this or the other. But in a certain given moment, everything collapses towards few possibilities. That is thermodynamics of open systems developed by Ilya Prigogine. And this collapse, what it makes is or causes that many of those options just harmonize synergy that we have seen. For me, I've seen that, I've witnessed that this summit and in this creation of the movement of bioregionalization through a natural process that is regeneration. So what we are actually witnessing is how, as human beings, we are going to regenerate our vitality, connecting ourselves to a bioregion and to a territory, to a community. That is the strength of nature, of Earth in this moment. And what takes place and what Tsitsi mentioned about that humanity that we are and seeing ourselves as human beings is the power of being able to be vulnerable. That's a power to be vulnerable with others, to show ourselves as we really are, without shame, without fear, in a safe community that enables us to really exchange in the plane of reality, in the energetic realm also, where the flows of energy is what enlivens us and lights up our life, our energy, and where we're also going to receive the information that we need. That's how Earth flows, and that's the way in which the Earth makes us part of what is happening here and play a role of what's happening here in the biosphere right now. So that's what I wanted to share today. And thanks a lot to Isabel and to Ben and to all for being here and for having connected in this deep effort for a radical collaboration and for seeing each other at a different level. I think that large part of the success of this summit was that it was not a marketplace, it was not like a marketplace of all the initiatives. And I think that many of us who attended realized that there were other people who were doing the same. And this also made us confront to having to sell ourselves. Like, hey, I have this initiative of regeneration and I help companies and please purchase my services. You know, no, we've overcome that stage of having to sell ourselves, and we have overcome it through precisely finding points of collaboration. Like, I know to do this. What can I do with this? How do I apply it in my bioregion? Should I strengthen the network? Let's not fight for resources. It is now about binding ourselves together really as an Ubuntu, as an Inlakesh, that is the Ubuntu, how we call Ubuntu in Latin America. Inlakesh comes from Mexico, from the Mayans. So in Inlakesh, I say bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Melina, for your inspiring words. I want to go back and listen to it in Spanish because I love
Gracias,
your
Melina, por esas palabras.
when you speak, and I can hear you, Andres. So thank you for your beautiful translation too. So we're going to do some breakouts now. Let you talk to each other for about 10 minutes. You'll get a 1-minute warning after 9 minutes. So do stay in your rooms after that. And we have a little question prepared for you. Let me drop that in the chat. And there we go. What opportunities that emerged during this summit for radical collaboration to support bioregional regeneration have inspired you? What opportunities that have emerged for radical collaboration to support bioregional regeneration have inspired you? Pause the recording. And I think we're just about ready to go. Looks like we've had a few people moving around or lost a couple. So I've set it up so you can move your groups if somehow you wind up you're not with the right language or all of that. But I think we're, oh wait, now we have some more folks. Okay, hold on. Lisa and Clement. Oh, give me one more second here. Okay, we'll move there. People must have just joined at the top of the hour. I hope that wasn't a problem where people were confused about the timing. But we'll just have to make it work. Let's see, Andres, I'm going to assume you might want to speak Spanish. At least there, and Oliver. Okay, I think we're good to go now. All right, we'll see you back here in 10 minutes.
Do you want us in some way to record what happens? Do you want us to note what people say or not really?
I think we have a lot of other ways. I'll be talking about that. So I'm going to trust that whatever you stir up here will find its way without our capturing it. Just be present. It's only 10 minutes. Okay.
Hey.
Hey, I know both of you. What's up, Melina and Kimberly?
Hi.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Kimberly.
I'm going to pause the recording because it's
Yes.
recording for the computer. So we pause.
Welcome back, everyone. Good to see your faces. So I think we can just segue right into what's next, because you've been talking about opportunities that have emerged, that have inspired you. And what's next is a set of offerings that can build on that. And I'm going to do a little screen share to take you through this. Y'all see that? Good.
Yes.
Yeah, so the summit is ending. These 2 weeks have flown by. And here we are on the last day with one more plenary to go. So the question is now what? Where do we go from here? And the first thing really is to stop and to celebrate and to appreciate what's taken place. And to say that if nothing else happened from our efforts, this would be enough. Dayenu, as we say. So we've been doing some of that already on this call. We're going to do more to close the call and in the hangout that follows in the second plenary. We really want to appreciate and celebrate everything that we've done together. And we're going to do it again in 6 months. We don't have dates yet, but our hosting team is committed to it and committed to expanding the number of networks involved and the people on our team, and to building and learning from what we've done, and to doing it even better and more fabulously the next time around. And we're not going to wait 6 months. We're going to start right now, or we've already started really building a community practice. I kind of like the metaphor of something like a global village, a virtual village, if you will, that's part of maybe a virtual bioregion of people doing bioregioning all around the world. And we have some kind of common sense of ecology and connection and being part of a larger ecosystem. So we're going to do that. We're going to deepen our relationships. This has been this kind of out breath and just, all of this activity. And now we're going to draw in and connect. And so a primary tool for that is our networking map. And I want to highlight that when you open up the map on the sidebar that you see there, there's a way that you can get your link to the dashboard where you can add more information. If you're not on the map, you can email us to be added. And then there are 2 videos that tell you how to do the things that I'm about to invite you to do, a short one and a long one. Short one's about how you view the map. The long one's about how you do this stuff. So the first suggestion is that you add to your profile. There were a bunch of questions that were not part of the registration survey, which we uploaded into the map. Things like, what gifts are you bringing? What conversations do you want to have? What are resources that you find valuable? What languages do you speak? So we can group ourselves around languages other, not always be stuck speaking English or having a translation. So many different opportunities in the profile to explore if you add that. A second thing is that the map is one of our main ways of showing appreciation. So you can actually draw a connection between yourself and someone else on the map. That video explains how, and you go into that dashboard and not only say something like we met for the first time or we deepened a relationship, but say something about gifts you received from that person and send them a little note. And then we can all go into the map and find ourselves and see who's pointing to us and what are the gifts that they're sending our way. You can also make personal invitations. Many of us have done this already, but you can invite people to connect, to have a conversation, to explore collaborating. You can send a more specific message about what that might involve. You can also show how you're connected to different partners on the map, or that you want to get connected to different partners. So those are ways to expand the data that's in the map. And then a new thing that's coming, and this goes back to John's question in the chat before, is to map opportunity explorations. So in addition to the orange circles and the blue squares, we're going to have green diamonds that represent your invitation to collaborate radically around some possibility for bioregional regeneration. And this is where all these different things that surfaced in the co-digital exercise can now be made personal and specific. So we're not just looking at the top 3, John. Those might be things that get the most energy, but there were things at the bottom. It doesn't mean that they're not perfectly valid and exciting things to invite. It just means that maybe there's a smaller group of people that's going to answer that invitation, or maybe we just didn't have the right people here and we're going to go out and find them over the next 6 months as we build this community practice. So all these things are going to move and land on the map, and we'll be able to play with them in some of the similar ways that we've done with one another, with the partners. And a key to that is this idea that we're going to have a weaving team. And many of you have already in your profiles on the map indicated an interest in that. And this is about kind of activating that third wing that you see in this diagram here. So we envisioned that the summit would include a lot of activity on open Zoom calls, that we'd also be using asynchronous tools like this map to connect. And we did both of those really well. Probably room for even more asynchronous stuff, I'll mention in a bit. But then there was this idea that we could also self-organize to have conversations in the language we want, at the time we want, with the kind of people, or maybe the exact people that we want to talk to, in a way that knits and fits together with the whole theme that we're here to explore and our intentions for seeding collaboration. And that's where this weaving team is going to be valuable as well. So we're not going to just leave everyone on their own. We're going to try to support and catalyze further connecting. And then we do still have the use of the wonderful KikoChat interface that's been our home base for the summit. So not only are the recordings are there for you to listen to, and we'll be uploading those to a YouTube channel. They'll be on the KikoChat platform for about 30 days, maybe a little less now. But there's a resource list, and there's a lot of things that have been added to that you can explore, and you can also keep adding to that. Maybe go back to some of the sessions if you were a host of the session and see if there were some key things you want to add. There's a discussion board that's gotten a little bit of use. And when you start a new conversation there, an email goes out the next day listing all of those and linking to them. So we can be having online conversations as well. And finally, there's our weekly collaborative newsletter, a way to once a week on Mondays to send out a notice. Everybody who's part of this, who's registered, gets one item in that newsletter if they want to use it. And we'll be sending out an email that gives you a link to that. Actually, I'll probably add it to the links at the end here. We want you to support our gift economy if you're willing and able. There is no fee to participate. Your presence is the most important gift, and an enormous amount of time and effort went into producing this, and we have some funds that we've received for that, but not nearly enough to really meet the needs and the desires of not only the core team that's done this and the people that have supported them, but many of the hosts that supported the event, some of the speakers. And then we want to have money to move forward with, to pay forward what happens next. So we're looking at about a third of what we gather going towards what follows from here, so that we have some resources. And then we'll also have the capacity at that point to gather even more resources. So please consider that. And then finally, we want to invite you to we're not going to stop gathering on Zoom. But we're going to really emphasize these community building processes. We've had a lot to digest with the experts and the presentations and the Q&As, and we can review those. And there's all kinds of resources online for more of those, right? But these sessions, which many of you participated in, but maybe many of you didn't experience, these are ways for us to connect as peers in community, to talk about what matters most to us, to really reach deep into things that and to start collaborating, right? To actually do the work that we've been talking about, that you've just been talking about in your conversations as well. That's what these are for. So we're going to continue to offer these on a regular schedule. That's still evolving, but we should be able to share with you shortly. So look for emails from us about that. And then finally, we'd like your feedback on what's happened. So we do have a little survey that we'll be sending out, and then I'll be sharing in these links right here. So I think everything's on there except the collaborative newsletter. And I'll drop a link to this slide into the chat right now. I think that's going to pretty much do it for me. So let me do that and then bring in, stopping the screen share. And bring in Claire and Isabel, right? We'll just sort of catch our breath. So I'm going to add a spotlight for Claire and Isabel, and I'm going to drop off. I'm going to drop that link in the chat, and somebody needs to be made co-host, so I'll do that in a minute. All right. So there you go. Those are that Canvas slide has links to all those things. And you can save the chat and make Andres co-host here. Yes, I will do that.
So here we are. We've got to the end of the first closing plenary. There's a second closing plenary later today for people who are in the time zone, which is not suitable for this plenary. And I've got great pleasure in introducing Claire again, who's going to sing us out. And what we're going to, Claire can't unmute. Ben, are you able to unmute Claire? I don't know why she's got stuck.
Because I stopped everybody's ability to unmute themselves, which I will now established.
We'll actually want to undo that though, Ben, because we want people to be able to unmute themselves.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Okay.
everyone can now unmute themselves.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're good.
So I'm going to hand over to Claire to explain what we're going to be doing. I think that's the best idea.
Okay,
Thank you, Claire.
of course. Hi everybody. I know this is at the tail end now of a very rich time. I would love to invite anyone who's able to come onto video if you can, just to join in this group experience. And to describe it, basically, I'm gonna sort of set a sound environment, and the reason for the muting is because we could get feedback, and so if you can just accommodate that feedback if it happens, just don't be distracted by it. But when I start playing, I'd love you to just go back into yourself and reflect on the perhaps new ways that you now appreciate and know yourself as nature, and nature as the space that holds you simultaneously. So both the within and the without. And then when I'm playing, it would be beautiful if you could share in the chat words or thoughts or phrases or feelings. They can be really abstract. They don't have to be a whole sentence, and it can happen more than once. Just anything really that's evoked that you notice, and you can name it in the chat. And when there's some of that there, and all the time there'll be sound going on, live sound, I would really love you to give voice to what you see in the chat. So you can notice someone's words and just say a few of them or a phrase from them, or even a whole sentence or two. But this is sort of a listening exercise with the added intrigue of latency and so on with the technology, to contribute ourselves into a sound poem for the love of the earth, really. And we'll do the whole exercise for maybe 5 to 7 minutes, something like that. So there may be times when it's just quietly self-reflecting as a space. And sorry, I was just reading Pamela's note. And then I have these little tinctures. And when you hear those, feel free to go really back to yourself. And I'll just sort of solo us out of the space. And as far as I think I understand it, that will be the end. I don't think there'll be further invitations or dialogue. Am I right, Ben and Isabel?
We're going to flow into the hangout, so we're going to.
Okay. So there'll be me going solo for a minute or two, and then some silence, and just look at each other. You know, just look at each other as flowers, trees, oceans, and so on. So until you speak, keep your mic muted to reduce feedback. But obviously, when you speak and type, just let that happen. I hope that's clear. Does that make sense? Can I see some thumbs up if that makes sense? Yes? Okay, good. And obviously we can't really get it wrong, so not much to worry about. A worry-free zone. Okay, so I'm going to turn, Ben, if you could mute now so I can turn on my original sound. I thought I'd been muted again. Okay, so remember, I'm going to sound, we go in, reflect, share and express in the chat, and then start delivering that with your actual voice into the shared space out loud.
Just come off mute to say your words and then go back on mute, right?
Yeah, thank you.
The landscape, the forest and mountains, nature waking up.
Deeper, higher.
The swell on the sea, the wind, the light.
Beckoning.
Circling, closing, opening, oral membrane.
Swaying like the ocean, lapping against the shore.
Spiral, 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 spiral.
The swell on the sea, the wind, the light.
River running.
gently tearing away to reveal rays of light.
Water flowing in, around, out.
We are here, we are here, we are here.
The green, green leaves on the tall, tall trees, translucent with sunshine.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama.
Seas breaking open, striving toward the sun.
A child recognizes his part in all that exists, in all that exists.
Can you hear the voices of those who cannot speak?
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama.
Fulfillment in nature. Abundance. The wind finds the crevices to break open new spaces. The silence of connection bringing us together, sending us out. Breathing, breathing, breathing.
think we're complete. Thank you, Claire. I'll stop the recording.